Hi guys, yeah, just another video for YouTube. Just doing it. I just wanted to do this video about mental health in general and during lockdown and with this pandemic and everything, and just think of some good tips and tools to sort of how to cope with things at the moment and what's happened with me a bit. Um, I tell you something that has been helping me a lot for get through things is Facebook groups as well. There's a group called Schizophrenia Support on Facebook, and there's loads of people on there who post daily about things, and it's a really good community of people to help support each other. Because I know anything real sort of like frightening or dread inducing like this pandemic, can be very, very triggering towards psychosis or depression and things. And Facebook is actually really, really good at um, all these sort of like, groups which you probably wouldn't normally find in most places. There's groups about nearly everything on Facebook, and a lot of people know about this, but obviously probably not everyone in that. But like years ago, used to always be Yahoo did groups, and then there was MySpace and things. But Facebook now have nearly a group. I mean, I must be probably in about 100 different groups, some from like years ago that don't ever post. But that's one thing that has really helped me, keeping in contact with people when you can't physically be around them. Then at least through digital means and online, you can be in touch with people, and also a supportive community. That's really important. I know it's not always easy if you feel isolated and estranged from your family, or you're falling out with friends, but definitely, like, if you can have a couple of contacts you can speak to regularly and support each other in whatever ways you can, then that's something I found like really helpful for me. It's been much better for me since I'm able to get out and about a bit more and go out places again. I was where I am in the UK when it was like complete lockdown early on. We had like an hour of exercise a day, and there were aspects of that I quite liked. Just all day, you could focus on yourself. But early lockdown. I was just drinking lots of coffee, listening to the news all day, and it was awful. It was like just put me in a state of existential terror and dread, which I shouldn't have allowed myself to get into. But it just, with my anxiety and schizophrenia, it's like um, it really got to me, and I was having visions about like things kicking off in all these American cities, people close to me dying. I was getting visions of it was like a mini civil war in the US and stuff kicking off in London, and but then really like horrible visions about all my neighbours and family members dying and things, and I literally was believing for a couple of weeks that this is the beginning of end times. That's what I got like with my psychosis. One of the biggest themes of my psychosis when I'm at my worst is like end time psychosis, where you think like natural disasters and cataclysmic events are about to occur at any point, and we're in this massive, sort of like the film 2012 sort of thing. They're saying that as a teenager, I learnt about the idea of 2012 and the age of Aquarius and things, and you know Hollywood hyped it up and people hyped it up. It could be this mass amazing change at 2012. But I mean, the Mayan elders, whenever they were interviewed on it, which obviously the Mayan calendar ended in 2012, and the Mayan elders said, this the coming of the age of Aquarius and these sort of like um, fitting together of all these prophecies, that it would always be a slow change anyway, and it's not going to happen all in one year, and that's going to the world and humanity will be changed in a brilliant or destructive but sort of rebirthing way all in one year. That it was going to be a slow evolution and rising of consciousness, which you could still argue in many ways that that's what's happening. But so I'm quite into that idea about the sort of a revolution of consciousness and a revolution of love for humanity. And but yeah, like an evolution of consciousness, like going, I believe that the next sort of like we're going through an evolutionary leap, for the fact that we have to start considering our planet as one, as a whole, and we need to start acting globally as a humanity to like think of our home planet as one organism, and that we must need to look after, protect and respect. And that side, I do believe that is a big leap of consciousness in the human psyche, that instead of thinking of your tribal nation, or you know, you think of your what you term as your identity with it. A lot of people are now embracing this idea that we are earthlings. You know, we are one race under the planet Earth, and I really, connect to that and stuff. But yeah, going back on more mental health things, I think, yeah, if you're able to have a few friends, couple of contacts or family members you can speak to regularly through this difficult period, I think that's really good. And I've been checking up on my neighbour quite regularly and popping around the shop for him and stuff, and keeping in touch with old friends. And it's been a very difficult time. I've heard of, within my own outer peer group, I've heard of 7 deaths of, like, say, like my neighbour's father, a friend's uncle, things like that. There's been about 7 people. Of an old friend's mum has died of it. I know people say the sort of numbers have been buffed up, but it's weird. I don't know. Some people's sort of mindsets about dealing with this COVID pandemic is that they've just gone into sort of like total denial, and they just disbelieve it's even real, or it's extremely minuscule. But I mean, would the whole world like put, I understand ideas about the deep state and how they control things and how they are working behind the scenes and things, but people are actually dying from this. This is real. Do you know what I mean? And it is very worrying and scary. Obviously, it's much more damaging and worrying for the older population, but still, this is something we should all work together and group together about to help the most vulnerable people in this society. And I definitely think the media literally, they're always trying to keep us in fear anyway. The mainstream media, the news TV stations and the tabloid press, there's always an agenda going on with sort of like, uh, we only tend to hear what they want us to hear anyway. But the fact is, from what I see, this, COVID is 1,000% real. Though, the media have had a field day on it, and they literally seem to think they need to put us all into severe dread and existential fear, and to cope with it, which I think we should just have a more mature perspective on it. Like, for example, every day during the lockdown, and even still today, they just talk about the deaths. They very rarely talk about how many recovered, and how many people per percentage you get in it and things. So, there is obviously an agenda to put us into fear and things about it, which to people like me who are anxious on that is not. I just have to try and avoid the news as much as possible. So that's another thing actually for mental health. Like, people can criticize you in the past for saying, oh, you live in a bubble or whatever, but I think in times like this, I think you have, and even in life in general, I think in a sense you do need to create a bit of a bubble, because the world can be a really horrible, difficult place. And if you're faced with all that difficulty and dread and fear and worry every day through the mainstream news, then you're going to be in a very anxious, worried, fearful state of mind, which isn't good for your own mental health, or isn't good for your life. So definitely for me, avoiding the news as much as I could was one good thing. And just distraction as well. If you've got any hobbies like art or poetry or gaming or gardening as well, connecting with nature. I'm definitely an advocate of connecting with nature walks, meditations, repeating mantras and things. Like, there's a lot of things we can do to help our state of mind. It's just having the ability to use them when things really get tough. Because things can be really tough for us, and it's been really worrying time. Really, 2020 has been a year, like, crazy year. But I just want to say to people, try and keep in touch with those who you can. Keep looking after yourself. Avoid the news as much as possible. Um, Try and get into your hobbies. Spend time in nature, and have some activities that make you feel good. But I'm avoiding the big supermarkets as much as possible, and I'm avoiding going into the local town centres and things. But some people would say we've got nothing to worry about, fine. and they don't believe any of this, the news reports and things. I just think, you know, we've all got to go by what's in our own conscience, but it does seem a bit of a thing, almost like a opposition between collectivism and individualism. You know, some people just don't believe whatever the government say, and they think it's all a ploy and all an agenda. And I mean, COVID could even be man-made. I don't know. It probably quite likely could be, or it's come out of the Wuhan lab. Either way, it's real and it's affecting people, and we do got to do everything we can about it and protect our mental health, protect our loved ones. But at the same time, we've got to stay calm and centered about all of it, because if we get ourselves in a mess like I did early lockdown, then it isn't helping anyone, and especially not yourself. Just stay, mature and take it in a considerate way. Yeah. Anyway, it's good to chat and connect with you on here again. Drop me a comment or a like if you want more of this, and I'll be posting more soon about some other topics and things. All right, thanks. Bye.